Right, hello. 4th of October today. They did the emergency alert test in the US today. When I checked my watch, we were told on the radio in the morning, I believe, we were told 1:20 is when it was supposed to go off here on Central Time. I checked my watch and it was actually 1:18. Okay. So 1:18, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to do a video on this now. And of course, it's a little bit more loaded than I had anticipated at the start of maybe doing this video. To begin with, I was going to show you that 1:18 was Central Time, and 1:18 is abbreviation of this point in the chart of Lorraine. This is my chart that I use for a lot of my decodes. You can go watch this video. If you are new here, you don't know what this is that I'm referring to, but this balance point that's right here in the center of here, okay, these are all balancing numbers. These are all golden ratio numbers, okay. They're derivatives of Fibonacci. I've got Fibonacci in here and Lucas numbers, but they're all derivatives of or variants of the Fibonacci sequence, which encodes the golden ratio 1.618, etc. Okay, so, and what's important about that ratio is that we see it everywhere in nature. Yeah, we see it in, shapes of things, so forth and so on, and that shows, and everything in nature is balanced. Okay, so if it's in nature, this has got to do with balance. And spoiler alert, if you're not up to date, if you're not up, if you're not up to date, if you're not up with what the universe is all about, the universe is all about balancing something and nothing. Okay, it's all about finding that point that balances everything. That's the purpose of life. Yeah. It's just to have an experience and experience a point of balance. Yeah, you might not be you may be unbalanced in your life. That might be the experience you're looking for. You may be balanced in your life. That may be your quest, is to find balance in life. That's my quest. But what we're doing is we're experiencing a different aspect of balance. Okay, so anyway, enough whiffle waffle. So this is important when we're looking at things going on in the world. The idea of balance is super important, what I'm trying to get to. And in this table, this is the bullseye right here, this little O in the middle here, and either side of it is 11 and 18. Okay. We have two columns here, twin towers if you like, and then over here, this column, the column number 7, is balancing these two towers. Okay, so you can see that this table has some synchronicities now with the World Trade Center, if you like, the twin towers. And we can look at some of these numbers that surround these columns, and we can see, if we reduce this 18 to a 9 here, okay, we've got 9/11 right in the center of this thing. Okay. And of course it pops up in other places, and there's a lot of significance in here. Okay, a lot of significance. But I want to go through some of these numbers because, of course, checking the clock today and it's going off at 1:80, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Here comes the ritual stuff. So what I've got up here is I've got the times. I've got New York, obviously, because that's where the Twin Towers were. I've got Kansas City because that's the center of the country. Okay, and there's various references to Kansas, like with Superman, Clark Kent, KC, CK, in Back to the Future with Marty with the Calvin Kleins on. Okay, so this CK is pretty important. Again, this is the center of the country, so this is going to be, we're going to be looking at this as a sort of I don't know, a reference to balance here, okay? And then we've got, but these are all references to balance really, but it's just where we're at in the story. And then we've got Las Vegas here as well, okay? Because that's where the Hoover Dam is, and that's what most of my videos are looking at, is the potential destruction of the Hoover Dam, okay? My belief right now is that 9/11 represents the physical birth, okay? But the physical birth is accompanied with a metaphysical birth of a controlling twin, which is the birth certificate person that the legal system creates. That thing controls your life, and at the same point, we're generating a false ego and all this other stuff. But you know, that false twin is created at that point. You know, it is the false ego and it is the birth certificate person, and that's the controlling factor that happens at that point. Yeah, 9/11. These towers now were wiped out. Yeah, these three, right? And that threw us into the matrix. Yeah, because these balance numbers no longer existed, if you like. And so we're in 9/11. We're in that thing. Okay. Interesting with the emergency. Yeah. Emergency number and the emergency alert now. Okay. And the emergence. Yeah. The emergency is the fact that we're gone into the matrix. Okay. So it's the emergence of the sea, because the sea is the merchant trading system. Kind of, because you can take references both ways, but also the emergence, yeah, the emergence of man from the sea is the other side of the other side of that kind of idea, is emerging back out of the matrix, yeah. So emerging, being reborn, being born or reborn. So it's interesting, the you know, and of course, alarm bells are ringing, you know, because, you know, somebody sounded the alarm already, letting you know that it's going to happen. So anyway, let's go through some of these numbers here. What I've done with the New York time here, it was supposed to go off at 2:20, okay, and we're down to 2:18. Now, you know, this 11 and then reducing this to a 9 here, this 18 to a 9, okay, so 9/11, okay. Well, hang on a minute. If we just do that the other way around, look what we end up with. Yeah, we end up with 2:18 here. Okay, that's not easy to see because I've got the wrong color there, but this 11 will reduce to a 2:18. So 2:18 is the, you know, the opposite of 9/11, if you like, or is a reference to 9/11. So this is like a 9/11 right here. Okay, and where do we have that? In New York. Okay, this is interesting. I've also got the 2:20 minus 2, because this is what's encoded here. We have to take 2 away to get to the time that it actually went off. Okay, so 222, again, 222 shows up in the table. And the importance, the significance of 222, there's a ton of significance. I will say this as well. We are now exactly, well, we're just over 22 years on from 9/11 this year, okay? So that is important as well, okay? But the 222, the 22, okay, this number balances with 143. It completes a year, or completes a cycle with 143, okay? 143 is 55 plus 88, okay? So 143 is actually a balanced number, if you like, or, you know, these two columns coming together, okay? This column and this column, because 55 and 88 are the totals for these two columns. So it's, again, super important. And the reference to 43, there's a nice reference with, this is the year that they did the Dam Busters raids, okay? And then they made a film about it as well. And then the film, you know, has been hijacked several times with other films. But the most famous one is part of that, those sequences in the Dam Busters, can be found in the Trench Run when the Death Star, the Death Star, which is the Black Pearl, which is the moon gone bad, okay, is destroyed by Luke, okay. So again, 1943, interesting year for that to happen in real life, okay. So let's move on to Kansas City. Okay, we've got a 1-2 or 2. If you read that back, it would be 2-1. Okay, and the start of Lucas numbers. And remember, if you think about it, the beginning is the end. Okay, so of course, 2-1. Okay, is very important as a beginning number, and then when we total over to do a full cycle, which is number 10 column here, when we total all these numbers up, 2 up to 123, this is our total, 321. Yeah, and again, I'm kind of reading this backwards because we're working towards this point here. So I kind of like to read numbers backwards sometimes as well, because we're trying to head towards the center of something. Okay. And again, 12-3, or just the 12. The first two numbers here is 1-2. Okay. So again, and you'll see that number, 1-2-2-1 referenced over and over again with stuff. Anyway, one more thing to note with this. So this 120 becomes a 122 because we're going to minus that 2 off. So 122 is a very important number in the dollar bill. Okay, so this is, you have to go watch my dollar bill decodes, but 122 days is a number that's encoded in there. Okay, and there's a special, this is to do with the Labor Day jump. Okay, so the idea of Labor Day is again the idea of coming out of the matrix and being reborn, labor. Okay, going into labor. And this date is this number is encoding that in the dollar bill. We go from 55, okay, 55, which again is super important to do with the metaphysical and the end of a cycle. Here, if you tot up 1 through to 10, add those totals up, 55. Check it out again with the number 10 here, with Fibonacci. It's the 10th Fibonacci number. So 50, I mean, it's just absolutely mental. The way this stuff works. But if we go from 5-5, the 5th of May, and we go 122 days, that will take us to Labor Day. Okay, and again, I guess I'll show you this as well. Labor Day, which was 4-9 this year, so this is a cross reference. So Labor Day was 4-9. Okay, the 4th of September, which is coincidentally also the resurrection of Christ on Easter Sunday. Check out my number that references to. Yeah, we're just making an L shape here, and it comes down, and on the corner of the L is 118. Yeah, this one. Here we go with the 118. So you see how these numbers tie together. Okay, in the dollar bill, 122 is an encoded number jump from 55 that will take you to the 4th of September, which is Labor Day, the birth, and that coincides in this table with 118. Yeah, and 118 there is just an abbreviation of the center number here. Okay, if you like, this one has come together with this one, they've amalgamated, they've joined, but there's still an 11 and an 18 that can be read there. That's why I like that 118. Yeah, because again, it's a bit like 29. It's a good way to combine those two numbers without losing individual identity. But not being completely intertwined like the One World Trade Center is. I think that's the idea of being bound into the matrix there. Like the maypole is bound with the ribbon. Yeah. That has to be unwound. Okay, so there's our 118 with Kansas City. Of course, that's the center again. So are we going to see the same thing happen here? And what this is pointing towards for me is, balance coming to Las Vegas. Okay, balance coming to Las Vegas because we've got the 1118 referenced there as well. Okay, and again with the this stuff, you just can't write this stuff. So we've got the 122, right? This 122 encodes another date, right? And 1118, yes, is the center balance point here. Okay, there is a sacrifice on 1122 of a president. Okay, and it's JFK. Okay, so 1122, we have the idea of a presidential death as well. So I don't know whether that might tie in with the Vegas thing. Obviously, a lot of people like the idea of Trump getting knocked off. But I don't know, this whole thing with JFK is also referenced in Back to the Future with Marty when he meets his grandparents. Okay, and the grandparents are, the grandparents are that whole scene there. There's a bunch of stuff in that scene, I believe, that references back to the Hoover Dam. Okay, that references back to 9/11 as well. So this whole thing with JFK here, with the 122 and this 1118. Also, I believe, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think Lee Harvey Oswald maybe he was born on the 18th of October. I'm sure he's born on his birthday, I'm sure, is an 1118 reference number. I can't remember exactly what it is, but off the top of my head, but it's something to do with 1118, which is, again, is pretty mental. Okay. I don't know what else I want to say about that. I think where I want to go now, actually, is just call it a day on the video. Again, 410 is a total right here. Okay, this is a total column for these numbers across, all the way across from there to there. Okay, so again, 410. I had, the Madonna thing was a bit of a bust for today, but again, we might wait till 10:57 because, because. And obviously this is a 13 ref. This is a 1 and a 3 with the numerology there. Obviously 157, 157 or 10:57. I've not called it a complete bust yet, but it probably will be. But that being said, this 410 today with the emergency number, this is, again, 157 is half of pi. The pi is half of pi right here. Again, half of pi. This pi row, the pi, I've got several ideas for the idea of pi, but obviously the piece of pizza pie. Okay. So there's a piece of pizza which looks a lot like, the dam, the shield. Okay. And again, half of pi, is a half moon. Okay. Again, you flip this thing, half moon makes a dam shape. Okay. Rudimentary dam shape. Again, the whole pi is the complete cycle. Okay. What pi do we see all the time? The clock. Okay. So I don't know really what I'm waffling about now, but again, 410, super important. Again, with the 191 that was down there. And the 191, I don't know, I haven't got nothing really for that, apart from, of course, it's a 9, a 1, and and another 1. Yeah, a 911. But it's been rearranged, so there's a slightly different significance to it, maybe, you know. In this point here, what I like about that the 191 is, again, we tend to use this as a 9 here, and this 6, again, the number of man, flips here again. I kind of like the idea of man being between the. It's almost like man on wire, you know. The 6 is the 9, and here he is. He's balancing up on the wire here between the two towers again. I don't know. I kind of like doing silly bits of symbolism like that. I'm going to call it a day for this video. Okay, I just wanted to show you the significance of these numbers. The emergency, yeah, the emerging from the sea. I'm going to call it a day. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'll tell you what though, there's several more interesting days coming up, and obviously 1010's coming up and 1011. Okay, and that's the big day that's in the dollar bill, and we've got that coming up shortly, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. Probably be something, I would imagine, fairly significant going on that will reference the Hoover Dam, or being reborn in some way. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right, cheers, bye.